yes, you're seeing this correctly, and that is because I actually got all four of these Universal Monsters TMNT crossover figures for Christmas this year. The story goes like this. My sister was online shopping, just looking for one, saw all four were in stock, didn't know what to do, and just ordered all four. And I am immensely grateful and hugely stoked because I've been wondering, should I get these? And I really vacillated over them for a long time. And eventually, one day I decided, holy crap, why have I been vacillating? I need these. I need them in my life. They are absolutely necessary to the old collection. I love the imagination that's put forth in these things. I love the detailed work. I love listening to Trevor Zammit talk to Veebs about all the process that went into coming up with these things. So I'm just incredibly stoked about them. Now, of course, you want to know which ones are my favorites, so let's do that in order now. Okay, coming in as my least favorite of the four, and to be clear, I love all these figures. I just thought I'd torture myself and try and come up with an actual order. So if you love the mashup of any of the turtles with any of the monsters that we're going to see here, and you love the idea of any of those mashups, you're going to be happy with these. These things are almost like works of art as much as they are action figures. And this Leonardo is no exception. Just the crazy detail, which is a word I'm going to use a lot as I'm discussing these things. Look at the way that everything is meticulously sculpted into that dude. Look at the beard on Leo. It seems right for Leo. I'm not the biggest Leonardo guy, although I don't hate the guy, but I do really enjoy what they did here. NECA really nails it when it comes to the sculpt, when it comes to the paint, and as it turns out, when it comes to the imagination in making these things. There was an awkward pause there because I didn't know what to say. You got a brain in a jar. You got a skull. The swords can go all the way through this open shell. This is just so much fun, and the idea to do this is absolutely phenomenal. I wish I worked on this line because I would have that much fun, but I'm not a great sculptor. Coming in third place is Raphael as Frankenstein. Everybody loves Frankenstein. A whole lot of people love Raphael. And I'll be honest, one of the several criteria I use to judge these things is articulation. And to be perfectly fair, Leonardo doesn't need a lot of articulation as the hunchback, and Frankenstein isn't exactly going to be doing a whole lot of ninja kicks. So really, is that fair to use that criterion when it came to this? Probably not, but it was something that was on my mind as I was trying to go through these things. Look at the chains. Look at the feet, the big block feet. It looks like he's on platforms. Ooh, and all the sculpting, all the tears, all the paint. I love the face sculpt of this thing. And the way the hands are done. I mean, Leonardo has the same type of hands, but back to those chains. Back to that red light. Look at the red light. It was perfect for Raph, I thought. Yeah, this guy doesn't move much, but he really looks good doing what it is that he does. Oh, and I tried putting him in front of the iPad. I thought that would be a fancy, crazy look. I did that a lot more throughout this video. But yeah, man, I just don't see how this kind of stuff can be topped. I really love it. It's one of the reasons I'm going to get into the Turtles of Grayskull line is just the pure imagination that goes into these things. And man, I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to start collecting the rest of these, which, let's be honest, is, well, it's going to be a problem when it comes to my wallet. If you don't hear from me, it's because it killed me. Now, when it comes to Donnie here, I was convinced that he, as the Invisible Man, would be by far my least favorite turtle, and he ends up coming in at number 2. I don't know what it is. It's probably the fact that we've got invisible shell with pizza floating around in it. It's the fact that the wraps look so good. It's the detail on something as simple as the coat. It's the crazy articulation you can get out of this turtle. I mean, this guy can move, which is kind of crazy considering the coat that seems to be covering his legs. He's got enough purple so we know it's Donatello, and he's got the goggles so we know he's a nerd. That's a terrible stereotype that they're still using, but I still think it looks really good here, and it seems to fit the Invisible Man thing. Otherwise, there'd just be blank spaces there, and he wouldn't look like just a bandaged up dude that was trying to maybe hide his identity. He just looked like something with a whole lot of dead space inside his head, which would be weird, but man, Donatello moves exceedingly well, and he just looks fantastic. And now we have Michelangelo as the Invisible Man. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my very favorite of the NECA Universal Monsters TMNT crossover. I love the way this guy looks. I love the way he moves. I love the Ankh chucks. Everything they thought of here is perfection. I love the fact that they referenced the head from the old decayed head that you used to see on eBay from, I believe it was the second Turtles movie. I mean, this guy is just perfect. Look at the hieroglyphs going on his shell. This is absolute insanity. Whoever sat back and got to just mess around with the idea of Michelangelo as the mummy just enjoyed their work, as did everybody that worked on the rest of these things. There's a slightly more serious look, but yeah, man, I am in love with this line, at least as much as you can be with an action figure line. So I'm definitely going to be continuing it, and it's one of the reasons that you might not hear from me, because my wallet is evil. And finally, here's another look at all of them just grouped together. Absolute NECA perfection. I think I'm going to become a big-time NECA fanboy at some point. I'm hoping it's not too soon, maybe in a few months when Toypixx is starting to crush it. But man, these things are just that good. I am amazed by the quality I see in all of these figures. And again, I can't say enough about the imagination of the people working on these at NECA. It's frankly very incredible to me that people still can pull this off and make this kind of magic pop out of their heads. It really makes me happy for the future of action figures, and that doesn't get much better when you're talking about figures as, hey man, because NECA can make these, action figures can always be rad. Still here? Fantastic! Toypixx is all about action figure photography, so stick around to the end of the video when I talk about today's Toypixx photo as well as today's Patreon freebie. And now, back to the haul. Okay, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of the Star Wars Black Series holiday figures, but I'm a huge fan of what they're doing with the Ewoks when it comes to Black Series, so I had to get this Paploo repaint. I absolutely adore how silly this thing is. Even though I end up with something from the sequel trilogy, it might as well be a Porg. I'm good with it. But yeah, man, I really like this thing, and you can tell because, well, frankly, it's on the thumbnail, even if it does look a little, I don't know, creepy. Much like the holiday Ewok before, Paploo here was provided to me by Mom. And again, he's a great looking Ewok. The Black Series team crushes it with the Ewoks, people. I'm sorry, they know what they're doing. I'm not sure they're quite worth the $25, but I also know we're never going to get better 1/12 scale Ewoks again. So I'm happy to continue adding these guys to my collection. In fact, I gotta go back and get a T-Bow. And since I dig the Ewoks so gosh darn much, here are 3 of my Yub Nubs all together. Now, those are my only Yub Nubs, considering the fact that, like I said earlier, I do need to go back and get T-Bow, but I thought it would be fun to just gather them all here so I could see what they all look like together, and I gotta say, I'm really digging what I see. I like the color that the holiday Ewok adds to the group. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of perfect. Still here? Fantastic. Dig action figure photography? Fantasticer. Scan the QR code so you can get your free action figure photography guide as well as get signed up for the Toypixx newsletter so you can stay on top of all the Toypixx things. Now, back to the video. Funny thing about rock and roll here, my sister and her family decided we gotta get him one more thing, one more figure, so let's get him rock and roll. And my mom decided, I gotta get him another figure, so let's get him rock and roll. And so I got 2 rock and rolls. Don't worry, one of them's getting returned, but I have to credit this guy to both of them. And if you've been paying attention to the channel for a long time, you know why I needed rock and roll. I needed him because he has an extra pair of hands. I also needed him because he's not all 80s all the time. Yes, he can easily be recolored into something that is all 80s all the time, but he's got the tan and green shirts, which I absolutely adore. I probably wouldn't even get the OG version because I think this one looks so good. I love the devil horn hands. It just adds that much more character to a great figure. And now, ladies and gentlemen, all the Joes I have with extra hands in one spot. This is a glorious sight, and I can't wait for more Joes to come out with extra hands in 2024. Now, while my family is aware that I'm building Toypixx so I can learn the nuts and bolts of marketing in order to help business owners learn to market their stuff, there's still the fact that many consider this kind of a childish hobby, but in reality, aren't all hobbies childish? Besides, what kid out there is trying to get NECA or G.I. Joe or, sadly enough these days, Star Wars figures? Ladies and gentlemen, childish indeed. I do recognize how lucky I am to have a family that's willing to spend money on these little pieces of plastic crack that we all love so much, especially considering they have to be thinking to themselves, hasn't he been asking for these things since he was 6? So, from me to my family, thank you guys. It really does mean a lot. Okay, my target sucks, and I've got maybe 4 feet wide worth of NECA stuff that's sitting over there. Nothing much. I don't ever see a whole lot of new turtle stuff hanging out there. The Target by Mom, that thing's fully stocked and it's awesome. But last time I was there, all I saw were a bunch of gray shirt Casey Jones figures, and she was there with me, kind of snickering as I was lamenting the fact that I only saw the gray shirt Casey Jones. I wanted the red shirt. I want the barrage. I want the real deal. And she brought up to me the fact that, haha, you thought you were only going to get no Casey Jones because all the red shirts were gone. And I'm like, yeah, but you got me, Mom. You got me. And I couldn't be happier. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Zog, and since nearly the beginning of the year, I've wanted this thing in my collection. In fact, since I first saw him at one of the toy conventions last year, I've wanted this thing in my collection. Look at how beastly this thing is. In fact, I went to New York City over the summer, and had they had Zog, I would have picked him up. But again, never seen this thing in person. Mom knew this. Mom knew how badly I wanted Zog, and Mom made it happen, and I couldn't be more stoked about it. Look at how well this thing can move. I know it's hard to see, but he is one chunky dude, and the fact that he can move as well as he can is almost miraculous. His mouth can close even. But obviously, we also have opening mouth action, angry action, all kinds of great paint and sculpt action. Zog is an absolutely incredible figure that I think if you dig the NECA stuff, if you dig the Mirage stuff, if you dig turtle stuff at all, you need him. And now here's Zog and Casey Jones hanging out with my turtles. You're looking right now at my entire Mirage Studios NECA collection, and man oh man, this line, if my wallet doesn't do it first, is going to hurt me. These things are absolute perfection. This is exactly what I've been wanting for so many years. I love this line. I love the Mirage Studios stuff, and I can't wait to keep working on this set. In fact, a Kirby, I'm gonna get a Kirby. How insane is it that we're gonna get a Kirby? Yeah, perfection. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, my entire Christmas haul gathered under one place. I gotta thank my family again for indulging me in this wacky hobby. Yes, I'm doing this to try and help people, but one of those people is myself because I love these figures. I would love to make it so that Toypixx was making all the monies and I could live off it. Well, doing other stuff, of course, as well, but these are just too much fun. So be sure, in case I don't remember to ask, to let me know what your Christmas haul is in the comments below. I'm stoked about mine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my 2023 Christmas haul. I dig 'em all. Now, do me a favor, comment below. Let me know if you have any of these figures. Let me know if you dig any of these figures. And especially, I know that all these figures have been talked about on videos already, but if you want me to do a more in-depth review on any of them, be sure to let me know that in the comments. And now it's time for today's Toypixx photo. It's Wolverine Wednesday, which of course means the old Knucklehead has to show up. And this week, I paired him with everybody's favorite web slinger. We have Wolverine and Spider-Man, and I'm just stoked to get to put together pictures like these. Frankly, there were no Spider-Man figures that came out this year that I picked up, so I haven't been shooting them as much. And, well, that kind of makes me sad. The wall crawler, he's one of those characters that just needs to be in more photos. So on Wolverine Wednesday, I get to do things like that. Now the QR code is there so you can scan it and head to the X and comment with your own Wolverine Wednesday photo. So throw a picture of Logan up there, maybe put some pals of his on the shot, or just make it Logan himself. Comment with that. Let's get chatting. Let's have some fun. And now it's time for today's Patreon freebie. As longtime viewers of the channel know, whenever I say Patreon freebie, it's redundant because everything I post on Patreon is actually free. So head over to the Toypixx Patreon page and pick a tier, any tier. There's even a free tier. Now, as for today's Patreon freebie, it is something that Anakin Skywalker loves to hate, ladies and gentlemen. We have sand. Well, that's right. I made this sand effect that you can put into your photos as you're editing them. So if you have Photoshop, all you do is copy this into its own layer and set the layer style to screen. That way the black will disappear and what you'll be left with, you guessed it, is sand. And let me know in the comments below if you're using other apps that I might be able to design things for. Somebody got a hold of me and said, man, I love this stuff, but the problem is I don't have like a screen setting so the black doesn't disappear. So I'll be messing with things trying to make them work for all the apps out there. So I just want to know what the super popular ones are so I can learn them and create this stuff for everybody. I want to leave no toy photographer behind because you folks, you're kind of my people. So you know what to do. Scan that bad boy. Go grab you some sand. And now, on to kind of the rap portion of today's video. Not the kind of we're not rapping like that, and that's a good thing. You don't want me to do that anyway. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I've got for this one. So, as always, thank you very much for taking the time to check out this video. It is massively appreciated. And until next time, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.